The woman general told the Empire, "You hit Earth first, now Retribution comes." The alarms screamed across lunar base tranquility at 3:47 hours. General Sarah Chen was already awake, reviewing supply reports in her quarters when the first distress signal came through. She pulled on her uniform jacket and ran toward the command center, her boots echoing in the metal corridors. "General on deck," Lieutenant Morrison called out as Sarah entered. Nobody saluted. Everyone's eyes were locked on the massive display screens covering the far wall. Earth was burning. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. From the moon's surface, she could see the flashes, bright orange blooms spreading across the planet's night side like terrible flowers. Each flash represented millions of lives ending in an instant. Her home, her world. Her people. "Report," Sarah said. Her voice came out steady, though her hands trembled. "Ma'am, unknown hostile forces appeared in high orbit 17 minutes ago," Morrison said, his voice cracking. "They didn't send warnings, they didn't make demands, they just started firing." Energy beams lanced down from their bellies, and wherever they struck, cities vanished in nuclear fire. "New Shanghai?" Sarah whispered, watching her birthplace disappear under a wave of plasma. Her parents lived there, her sister, her niece who had just turned 6 last month. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer said. "It's coming from the hostile fleet, audio only." The computer struggled to translate the alien language, providing subtitles across the screen. "Primitive species of the third planet. The Crithian Empire has deemed your existence a potential threat to galactic stability. Your civilization ends today. Resistance is futile. Surrender is pointless. This is not war, this is extermination." The Americas would be next. "How many ships do we have?" Sarah asked quietly. Morrison looked at her with red eyes. 23, ma'am, everything that was off-world when they attacked. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, 3 patrol cruisers. Nothing that could fight those monsters. They could have thousands of warships. Then strike where they're weakest, not where they're strongest. Emergency frequency, maximum broadcast. She didn't wipe away the single tear running down her cheek. She wanted them to see it, wanted them to know she felt what they felt. "This is General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, broadcasting from lunar base Tranquility. 14 minutes ago, an alien force calling themselves the Crithian Empire attacked Earth without warning and without mercy. As I speak, our homeworld is burning. Billions of our people are dead or dying. The Crithians believe they have won. They believe humanity is finished. They are wrong. They hit Earth first. They chose this. They wanted to destroy us before we could become a threat. Instead, they've shown us exactly what kind of galaxy we live in. They've shown us what we're fighting for, what we're surviving for. To every human listening, miner, scientist, colonist, crew member, I need you. Not in a year, not in a month. Now, we cannot save Earth, but we can ensure that humanity survives. And we can make certain that the Crithian Empire learns the cost of attacking us. General, we're receiving responses. Every colony is reporting in. They're asking for orders. But beyond Earth, scattered across the solar system and beyond, humanity's lights still burned. Fewer than before, so many fewer, but not extinguished. "Begin Operation Scattered Seeds," Sarah said. "I want every ship, every station, every colony to go dark. Full communications blackout. Move to secondary coordinates. The Crithians think they know where we are. Let's prove them wrong. They're blind spots. We study them like we're taking a test we cannot afford to fail. And when we're ready, we teach the Crithian Empire something they should have learned before attacking us. We've perfected the art of survival, and we never, ever forget who struck first." And the Crithians would learn that exterminating a species and defeating a species were very different things. The war had just begun. 3 months had passed since Earth died. General Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of what humanity now called Command Station Exodus, a hollowed-out asteroid that the Crithians would mistake for just another piece of space rock. Around her floated holographic displays showing the positions of every human vessel, every hidden colony, every asset humanity had left. 23 ships had become a ghost fleet. The Crithians were hunting phantoms. "Report from the Whisper team," Lieutenant Morrison said, approaching with a data pad. "They successfully sabotaged the Crithian fuel depot in the Gamma sector. The Empire lost enough supplies to keep 50 warships running for a month. They were in and out before the Crithians even knew someone was there." Instead, Sarah had done something the Empire had never encountered before. She turned humanity's weakness into strength. The Crithians had thousands of ships, but those ships needed fuel, supplies, ammunition, and repairs. They needed communication networks to coordinate their vast empire. They needed predictable supply routes, automated systems, and standardized protocols. The Crithians had built an empire so large that it ran like a machine. Sarah's job was to break that machine one small piece at a time. "What's the status on Operation Confusion?" Sarah asked. Morrison pulled up another display. "Working perfectly, ma'am. We've been broadcasting false distress signals from 17 different locations. Crithian patrol fleets are chasing ghosts halfway across the sector. They've wasted 3 weeks investigating empty coordinates. If they detected a signal, they sent ships to investigate. They didn't consider that humans might send false signals deliberately. They didn't understand deception the way humans did. Ma'am, incoming message from the Velaxy delegation," the communications officer announced. Sarah's eyebrows rose. The Velaxy were a neutral species known for their strict policy of non-interference. What would they want? Put them through private channel. They looked fragile, but Sarah knew they were one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. "General Chen," the Velaxy said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Kellora. I bring greetings from my people and something else. But there are no treaties preventing us from sharing historical data." It was a complete technical manual for Crithian military systems, shield frequencies, communication protocols, supply chain routes, everything. "Why?" Sarah asked. Kellora's eyes grew sad. "Because what the Crithians did to Earth was wrong. Because the galaxy watched and did nothing. Because sometimes neutrality is just another word for cowardice. We cannot fight your war, General Chen, but we can ensure you fight it with knowledge. This changes everything. You humans might be the spark that changes the galaxy. Morrison, get me Commander Reeves from the Ghost Squadron." His ship, the Silent Arrow, had successfully infiltrated 7 Crithian facilities without being detected. "General," Reeves said with a nod. "James, I'm sending you new intelligence. Crithian communication relay stations, locations, security protocols, everything. I want you to pick the 3 most important ones and make them go silent. The Crithians have thousands of ships, but if those ships can't talk to each other, they're just metal floating in space. We make them blind, deaf, and confused. Mining stations disappeared overnight, their automated systems reprogrammed to send false reports. Supply convoys arrived at stations only to find their cargo had been swapped with worthless materials. Communication relays went offline one by one, creating dead zones in the Empire's network. The Crithians were furious and confused. Their military commanders blamed each other for incompetence. Their emperor dismissed 3 admirals in a single week. Internal investigations were launched. Paranoia spread through the ranks, and through it all, humanity's 23 ships remained invisible, striking and vanishing like ghosts. Sarah watched the reports come in from her command center. Each small victory felt hollow. Her world was still dead, her family still gone. But she channeled that pain into cold calculation. The Crithians wanted to exterminate humanity. They would learn that humans were harder to kill than they thought. "Ma'am, we've intercepted Crithian military communications," the intelligence officer said. "They're calling an emergency military council, high command only. The meeting is scheduled for the Emperor's private sanctuary world. Coordinates coming through now." The Emperor's Sanctuary, a planet so secret that only the highest military officials knew its location. A planet where the Emperor felt safe enough to meet without heavy security. "Get me the Whisper team leaders," Sarah said. "All of them. I have a mission that will change this war. We're going to do something the Crithians will never expect. We're going to turn the Crithians against themselves." Humans fought with words, with truth, with the ability to turn an enemy's strength into weakness. The long game was working, and Sarah was just getting started. The Silent Arrow drifted through space like a dead ship, its engines cold and its hull covered in stealth plating that made it nearly invisible to scanners. Inside, General Sarah Chen adjusted her tactical suit and checked her equipment one final time. She had left command of the human fleet to Admiral Rodriguez. This mission was too important to delegate. "Approaching the sanctuary world," Commander Reeves whispered from the pilot's seat. Velaxy stealth technology is holding. The Crithian orbital defenses haven't detected us. 50 of our best, including you, Reeves replied. We land in the northern hemisphere near the Emperor's compound. Intelligence says he's meeting with his top military council in 6 hours. But humans had been beating impossible odds for thousands of years. The descent was silent. The Velaxy cloaking technology bent light around their ship, making it invisible to both eyes and sensors. They landed in a dense forest 5 kilometers from the Emperor's compound. The team moved quickly through the trees, their suits adapting to match the environment. Lieutenant Chen, no relation to Sarah but a brilliant hacker, worked on a portable computer as they moved. I'm tapping into their local network now. Security is tight, but they're not expecting infiltration. Why would they? Nobody knows this planet exists. The meeting room is in the central building. Can you access their communication system? Sarah watched through binoculars as Crithian guards patrolled in predictable patterns. They looked bored, comfortable. They had no idea that death had arrived on Earth 3 months ago, or that humanity was about to return the favor, not with violence but with something more powerful. Motion sensors deactivated, Chen whispered. We have a 10-minute window. Years of military training combined with 3 months of desperate survival had made them sharp, efficient, deadly. They reached the compound's communication hub without triggering a single alarm. Chen connected her equipment to the Crithian systems. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. I'm in, downloading their security footage now. Let's see what secrets the Emperor keeps. Guard patrol incoming from the east. The Emperor says they were getting too advanced. Better to eliminate them now than face them as rivals later. The Crithians hadn't attacked Earth because humanity was a threat now. They attacked because humanity might become a threat someday. Download complete, Chen whispered. And I found something. General, you need to see this. The files showed the Emperor's private communications, orders to his weapons division to test new orbital bombardment weapons, target selection criteria, and then the damning evidence, internal memos discussing which target to choose for the weapon test. Earth hadn't been chosen because it was dangerous. Earth was chosen because it was convenient, because it was isolated, because the Crithians wanted to test their new weapons on a living population to see how effective they were. But there was more. The files contained future plans. After perfecting the weapons on Earth, the Emperor planned to use them on his own dissenting colonies, on Crithian worlds where citizens questioned his authority, on anyone who threatened his absolute power. He killed billions of humans as a test, Sarah said, her voice shaking with controlled rage. And he planned to use the same weapons on his own people. All of it, every file, every order, every piece of evidence that their Emperor is a monster who views them as expendable. Every screen, every holographic display, every data pad, for approximately 5 minutes before they shut me down. My name is General Sarah Chen. 3 months ago, your Emperor ordered the destruction of my world. He killed billions of humans, men, women, children. He told you it was to prevent a future threat. That was a lie. The weapon tests, the plans to use the same technology on Crithian colonies, the contempt he expressed for his own subjects in private messages. Your Emperor sees you as tools, Sarah continued, just as he saw my people as test subjects. He will turn these weapons on any of you who question him. The evidence is here. Judge for yourselves. Crithian citizens watched in shock as their Emperor's crimes were revealed. Not just the attack on Earth, but his plans to use the same brutal tactics on his own people. In the compound, alarms suddenly screamed. The Emperor had discovered the breach. Time to leave, Reeves shouted. The team ran through the compound as guards poured from buildings. Energy weapons fired, plasma bolts scorching the air around them. Sarah returned fire, providing cover as her team retreated toward their ship. Chen, is the broadcast still running? Sarah yelled. Yes, it's spreading across their network faster than they can shut it down. Crithian citizens are recording it, sharing it, discussing it. Reeves fired the engines as Crithian fighters appeared in the sky above. Hold on, Reeves shouted, pushing the ship into a steep climb. Plasma cannons fired at them, but the Velaxy shields held. The ship broke atmosphere and jumped to hyperspace just as a Crithian cruiser appeared on their sensors. Sarah sat in her seat, breathing hard. Around her, the team was checking for injuries. 2 wounded, none critical. Did we succeed? Reeves asked. Sarah pulled up the communications intercepts. Across the Crithian Empire, citizens were reacting to the broadcast. Protests were starting on multiple worlds. Military officers were questioning orders. The Emperor's own government officials were demanding explanations. Yes, Sarah said quietly. We just turned the Crithian Empire against itself. And humanity was no longer fighting alone. Emperor Jather watched his empire crumble from the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Reports flooded in from every sector, riots on the capital world, military defections, colony worlds refusing to send tribute. All because of one human woman and her cursed broadcast. Silence them, he hissed to his remaining loyal admirals. Crush the protests, execute the traitors, show them the price of defying me. Your Majesty, Admiral Credoc said carefully, perhaps if we explained. We will make an example that no one will forget. We will show the galaxy that defying the Crithian Empire brings only death. The Emperor would personally witness humanity's final extinction. Aboard Command Station Exodus, General Sarah Chen watched the Crithian fleet's movements with calm eyes. Around her, officers looked terrified as they saw the size of the approaching force. General, they're sending everything, Morrison said, his voice shaking. 10,000 ships. They'll reach New Horizons Station in 48 hours. We have to evacuate. Every civilian, every soldier, every piece of valuable equipment. What the Crithians will find is an empty shell. When cornered, tyrants always respond with overwhelming force. They think it shows strength. It actually shows fear. Sarah smiled, and it was a smile that would have frightened the Emperor if he could see it. We spring the trap. 48 hours later, the Crithian armada arrived at New Horizons Station. The Emperor stood on his flagship's bridge, surrounded by his most loyal guards. Before them floated the station, a massive ring-shaped structure that once housed 50,000 humans. Scan for life signs, the Emperor commanded. Detecting minimal presence, Majesty, 23 ships in defensive formation. The same vessels from the initial Earth engagement. It looked like suicide. Hail them, the Emperor ordered. I want the human general to see my face before she dies. Thank you for coming. You mistook our compassion for helplessness. You made a mistake, Emperor, and now you pay for it. Who said I only have 23 ships? Manthari battleships bearing symbols of peace. Solian Unity destroyers, species from across the galaxy all converging on a single point. The Emperor's face went pale. Impossible. Every civilization that suffered under your tyranny. Every nation that wanted to resist but couldn't alone. My people's suffering gave them courage. Our resilience inspired them. You didn't just attack Earth. You showed the galaxy what kind of monster you are. The Solian Unity supports General Chen. General Chen, Sarah broadcast on all channels, including to every Crithian ship, is offering terms. Crithian vessels may power down weapons and withdraw. Any ship that chooses peace will be allowed to leave unharmed. Any ship that continues to follow the Emperor's orders will face the consequences. Now faced with overwhelming opposition and an honorable way out, those seeds bloomed into full rebellion. One by one, Crithian ships powered down their weapons. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Some ships even turned their weapons on the Emperor's flagship, blocking any escape route. Traitors, the Emperor screamed. All of you, I am your Emperor. That ends today. Emperor Jather, you are under arrest for crimes against sentient species. You will be taken into custody not by humanity but by your own people. You will face trial under Crithian law, the same laws you created. Justice, not revenge. That is what separates civilization from tyranny. Sarah Chen watched from her command deck as the Emperor was led away. Morrison stood beside her, tears streaming down his face. We did it, he whispered. We actually did it. And most importantly, that strength isn't about how many ships you have. It's about standing for something worth fighting for. The Crithian Empire was finished, dissolved by the choice of its own people to embrace freedom over fear. Sarah looked at the screen showing Earth's distant star. We hit back, Dad, she whispered to her father's memory. But we didn't become monsters. We stayed human. Admiral Sarah Chen, promoted from general by the newly formed Galactic Council, stood on the surface of Luna, looking down at the memorial wall. Billions of names were carved into black stone, each one representing a life lost when Earth burned. She touched the section marked Chen family, her parents, her sister, her niece. Their names glowed softly under her fingertips. "We won," Sarah whispered to them, "but you're still gone. Victory doesn't bring you back." She turned to see Ambassador Kellora approaching, the Velaxi's silver skin gleaming in the harsh sunlight. "Admiral Chen," Kellora said gently, "the council meeting begins in an hour. The other ambassadors are waiting." "I'm coming." The Galactic Council chamber was impressive, a circular room with seats for representatives from 40 species. At the center, a holographic display showed the current state of galactic affairs. The former Crithian territories, once oppressed under the Emperor's rule, now glowed green, free, independent systems choosing their own governments. Sarah took her seat in the section marked Humanity. It still felt strange to represent her entire species. But someone had to do it. "The Council recognizes Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth," the Council speaker announced. "The floor is yours." These were leaders who had chosen to stand with humanity when it mattered most. "Thank you," Sarah began. "6 months ago, the Crithian Empire attacked Earth without warning. They killed billions of innocent people. They tried to exterminate my species before we could become what they feared, a rival civilization. We didn't respond with mindless revenge. We exposed the truth. We turned the Empire against itself, and we showed the galaxy that justice matters more than victory. New laws that will prevent what happened to Earth from ever happening again. No species may attack emerging civilizations without provocation. No empire may use weapons of mass destruction on civilian populations. And any government that commits such crimes will face the combined response of every member of this council." After the meeting, Sarah walked through the Luna Complex Gardens, a beautiful space filled with plants from 20 different worlds, all growing together. She found Commander Reeves sitting on a bench, staring at a small earth oak tree. "They grew it from a seed saved from Beijing," Reeves said quietly. "One of the few earth plants that survived. But then I remember that because of what we did, no other species has to go through what we went through." On the other side of the moon, construction crews worked on Earth Recovery Station 1. Ships from the Velaxi, Manthari, Solian, and 30 other species delivered supplies, technology, and equipment. The project to rebuild Earth had become a galactic effort. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, humanity's chief scientist, supervised the delivery of atmospheric processors. These machines would help clean Earth's air and water over the next decade, making the planet livable again. "Admiral Chen authorized another shipment," a Manthari engineer said, his 4 arms working efficiently. "More medical facilities, education centers, housing units. Your people will have homes again." "You didn't have to help us." In the former Crithian capital, now renamed New Crithia, citizens walked freely through streets once controlled by the Emperor's guards. Democratic elections had been held. A new government formed by the people, for the people, worked to repair the damage of centuries of tyranny. In a secured facility on the planet's southern continent, former Emperor Jather sat in a cell. He was not tortured, he was not mistreated. He simply lived with the consequences of his choices, watching through a window as his former subjects built a better civilization without him. A Crithian guard brought his daily meal. "The news today says another colony world has joined the Democratic Coalition. They're calling it the best government they've ever had." The asteroid base that had served as humanity's hidden command center during the darkest days would become a museum, a reminder of what determination could achieve. She walked through the empty corridors, remembering the faces of those who had worked here. The young officers who had cried when Earth died. The soldiers who had become warriors not through hate, but through love for what they'd lost. In the old command center, she found a message waiting on the main console. It was from the Velaxi Council. "Admiral Chen, we wish to share something with you. For generations, we believed that peace required avoiding conflict entirely. You taught us differently. Peace requires courage to face evil, wisdom to defeat it without becoming it, and mercy to help former enemies become friends. Humanity has given the galaxy a gift. Thank you." She took one last look at the room where she had planned the impossible and achieved it. "We hit back," she said to the empty room. "But we didn't lose ourselves. That's what victory really means." 2 years later, the first children were born on the rebuilt sections of Earth. In hospitals staffed by humans and aliens working side by side, new life began in the soil where billions had died. Sarah visited one of these hospitals, holding a baby girl whose parents named her Hope. The child looked up at Sarah with curious eyes, unaware of the horrors that had come before her birth. "Your world was broken," Sarah whispered to the baby. "But we're fixing it, not just for humans, but for everyone. You'll grow up in a galaxy where species help each other. Where justice matters, where even in the darkest times, compassion can win." And in orbit above, ships from 40 different species worked together on the reconstruction. The Crithian Empire had hit Earth first, trying to exterminate humanity before it could reach its potential. They failed. Not because humans were the strongest, but because humanity had something no empire could destroy: the stubborn refusal to let tragedy define them, the courage to seek justice over revenge, and the wisdom to turn enemies into allies. Sarah Chen had promised retribution. She had delivered something better. She had changed the galaxy. The memorial on Luna would always stand, remembering those who were lost. But beside it now stood something else, a monument to hope, carved with words in 40 languages. "The galaxy is better because we refuse to become what hurt us." And it belonged to everyone,